Today I'm going to show you how to create this procedural barcode. This uses the number generator that I created in the last tutorial, so make sure you make that before trying this out. I'm going to be honest, I didn't do much research into what makes a barcode, so I wouldn't use this in place of an actual barcode generator. I just thought this would be a fun project to try and figure out. It's not going to be too hard. This is what our end node setup is going to look like. So let's get started. To set up our scene, let's get rid of that cube and bring in a plane. I'm going to change the entire middle area to my shader editor and put that material that was on our cube on our plane. Hit N to get rid of that shelf. And let's change the top right to our 3D viewport. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on, and zoom in and move my mouse up, and I'll be in rendered mode. So we want to use that node group from the last tutorial we created, and a way to get that into this file is to append it. So come to File in the top left here and click on Append. You just need to find your blend file. Mine is just tutorial 50. So I'll click on that. Then find where it says Node Tree. I'll click on that. We've got these two node groups. This is the node group, the smaller one that's inside of this one. So if I click on this one, they'll both be appended anyways. I should have named them in retrospect. I'll bring that in and hit Shift A, and then I can bring in from group here at the bottom, node group 001. Click it here. We can see that this is our node group that allows us to display numbers. The value here, which is the scale, is kind of small, so you can't even see the number. If I set it at 1, you can see it now. I'm not sure why these aren't named correctly anymore, but I'm just going to go ahead and go into here, tab in, and this top one, this is going to be our scale. And, oh, didn't rename it. I'll just call it our scale. And this is going to be our seed. I'm going to get rid of this principled BSDF and bring in a texture coordinate node. We're just going to be coming out of generated here. I'm going to bring in a separate XYZ node, place it right here, and we'll leave it on X there. I'm just going to make sure I'm still in rendered mode there. And we'll bring in a math node. If you set this to snap, then we can basically choose increments that we want it to snap to. I'm going to go pretty small. I'm going to go 0.005. You can't even really see the increments anymore. They're so small, but they are there. Then I'm going to bring in a white noise texture, place it right afterwards. We can see that it divides those increments up into different colors. I'm going to change it to value instead and change it to 4D, and that gives us this seed value we can play around with. Then I'm going to bring in a color ramp, place it right after here, change this to constant. We can see as we drag this up and down, it just changes from white to black with those stripes, just at varying widths. I'm going to set this at 0.63 for now, and we'll just start on the next part. Next, I'm going to duplicate this separate XYZ with Control-Shift-D so it remains attached to this texture coordinate node here. And I'm just going to get the preview coming out of X with Control-Shift left-click, and I'm going to bring in a color ramp. We'll just place this right here. We'll change this to constant, move this up a little bit, and I'm going to duplicate this twice while leaving it attached to the X output there. So just like this, once, twice. Then let's do that again, but this time I'm going to come out of the Y, and again I'll just duplicate it twice with Control-Shift-D so it remains attached. And I'll move this node group out of here a little bit. I'm going to create some node reroutes. Just hold down Shift and drag the right click through these node noodles here, and you'll just create these reroutes here. Just make it a little easier to see what we're looking at. These 6 color ramps are going to be used to mask out the areas where this barcode area is, and also the areas where these numbers are. For now, the numbers are too big, but we'll fix that in a little bit. Let's just start by setting up this top color ramp. We're going to leave black at the bottom. We're going to change white to 0.09, and then we're going to bring one more black in. And the easiest way to do that, when this white is selected, just hit this plus. It'll create one in the middle, and it's just going to be black automatically. We can bring this up to 0.91, and that first one is set up. This second one is going to have quite a few more points. Let's actually start by flipping the color ramp, and we'll bring this black down to 0.08. We'll create a new one in the middle there, which is going to be white, and this is going to be at 0.13. We'll create a new one in the middle there, which is going to be black, and this is going to be at 0.47. We'll create another one in the middle there, which is going to be white. This is going to be 0.53. A new one here, which is going to be black, is going to be at 0.87. And then the final one, we'll put this at 0.92. And now that second color ramp is set up. Let's just see what these look like. This top one, this is kind of the borders of this barcode texture. And then this one right here is going to be where we have little pieces of the barcode texture kind of hanging down a little bit more. For the third one here, this is going to be even more complicated. Let's go to the top here for this white one. We're going to leave the black at 0. This white one's going to go at 0.036. Let's create a new one, which is going to be black. This is going to be at 0.08. Create a new one, which is going to be white. This is going to be at 1.5, or 0.15, pardon me. And then let's create a new one. This is going to be at 0.47. Let's create a new one, which is going to be white. This is going to be at 0.525. Let's create a new one, which is going to be black. This is going to be at 0.84. Let's create a new one, which is going to be white. We'll put it at 0.92. And finally, the last one, which is going to be black again. We'll put that at 0.96. If you look at this guy here, it's even a little bit more complicated. I think this is just to black out numbers in certain areas, because we only want the numbers in these white areas right here, right here, right here, and then the single number on the right. Let's set up the first color ramp coming out of the Y in the separate X, Y, Z this time. And we're just going to start with the white here. This one's going to be pretty simple. We'll leave the black at the bottom. We'll bring the white down to 0.23. We'll create one more black here. And this is going to be at 0.7. So if you look at this, now we're kind of restricting the horizontal area there. On to the second color ramp. And this one's going to be pretty straightforward as well. The black we're going to leave at 0. And the white we're going to bring down to 0.27. It'll be really straightforward. Now on to the last color ramp. We'll leave the black at 0. We'll bring the white down to 0.19. We'll bring one more point in here, black one. We'll put it at 0.25. And this is what that looks like. Let's start by mixing this middle one up here with this middle one down here. I'm just going to hold down Control and Shift and right-click and drag from one node to the other. And it just creates this Mix RGB automatically. We're going to leave it on Mix, but we're going to feed the top one into the factor, and the bottom one is going to go into color 2 there. This one here will change to white. Let's put a math node onto this noodle coming out of this Mix RGB and open this up and hit M, and it just changes it to multiply. I want to multiply this with this color ramp here. What's happening there is basically, the blacks are zeros, the whites are ones. And so anywhere where there's black, 0 times whatever, it's going to be 0. So anywhere there's black, it's going to kind of carry over there. Anywhere where there's white, it's going to shine through, but it has to be white in both areas to shine through. Let's duplicate this multiply here. We're going to plug this top color ramp in this time here, the one that's limiting the sides there. It's got the 2 black stripes. I'm just going to keep that a little bit more consistent so they're not crossing over so much. And now we kind of have an area in the middle where our barcode is going to be. Let's grab this Mix RGB, duplicate it with Shift D, and bring it over here. We're going to feed this multiply into the factor. And then this color ramp here that we initially set up is going to go into color 2. And now we can see the mask working as intended. So these last 2 color ramps that we haven't used yet, these are going to be used to mask out this node group down here. So let's set that up. I'm going to just get a preview going from this guy here and attach a multiply onto there. And then we're going to plug this guy into the bottom there. So we can see this narrow strip here where our numbers are going to go. Let's set up a Mix RGB. We'll place this into the factor here. And then this is going to go into color 2 because we want the white area. That's where we want our numbers to be. Let's see what that looks like. Not very good because the scale isn't set right. Let's set the scale correctly. We're going to set this to 18. And now we can see our numbers are lining up nicely. If you're finding your numbers aren't lining up nicely, for instance, there's too much of the top row up there, it's just this color ramp right here that you just need to adjust. It is a little fiddly. You don't have to do the exact number I did. Oh, went back too far. But this is what I found worked quite well. And if it's not working well on the side there, it's just this color ramp up here that you need to adjust. So I'll bring that back to the normal one. I'm going to multiply these two together, this barcode here and this number sequence here. So I'll just bring in a multiply node there. It doesn't really matter which one I plug into which socket. It should work fine. And there is our barcode. Lastly, I'm going to set up 2 value nodes to create some controllers for our group here. This is going to be the seed for our white noise texture there. Let's duplicate this, and we're going to plug this into the seed for our number generator there. Just make some nice divisions here as well. We've got everything here. I'm going to do one more value node actually as well, just to control these increments right here. So I'll set this at 0.005. And this W here, I'm just going to set this at 0 now. Same with this 0 here. So now that we've got everything there, I'm going to grab everything except for those 3 value nodes that I just set up and hit Control G. Put this in a group node. Now we can just get rid of these value nodes here. It doesn't really matter too much. And let's name this stuff. So tab into that, hit N. And this one here, actually, I'll just make sure I know what is going on first. So this is the number seed here. This is the bar seed. And this is just the increment level there. So maybe what we should do actually is tab back in there. For this increment right here, why don't we multiply this by a very small number. So bring multiply in. We'll multiply it by 0.005, and then we'll just set this at 1 here. So now we move this back and forth. It's going to be less sensitive. Let's rename these now that we know what these controls are doing. This top one is going to be the number seed. And then this one here, oops, it's going to be the bar seed. And then this is going to be size of bars. We can tab back out of there, hit N. Let's just test it to make sure I set that up correctly. Number seed, bar seed, size of bar. So if you want bigger bars, just keep going to the right. If you want smaller bars, make it to the left of 1. As I'm looking at this, it looks like the 5 is partially cut off. I'm going to go back into my node group, and let's see if we can just fix that. Oh, it's this one up here. So I think it's this guy. Yeah, there we go. So if we just change this to 0.85, maybe it'll work fine. One more thing too, it looks like some of the numbers are just being cut off on the top there, and this 0 is being cut off on the side. So I'm just going to quickly clean those up. Just tab into my node group. This bottom one on the X noodles here, I'm just going to adjust this guy here slightly. Let's set it at 0.14. There we go. It's a little bit better. And then this bottom one here, we're just going to need to adjust this slightly because, like I said, we've got these little slivers of numbers coming in here. So let's just adjust this slightly. Let's put this at 0.195. That looks great. If you wanted to adjust the amount of black or white in this barcode area, by the way, just come up to this color ramp right after the white noise texture and just drag it from one direction to the other. If you want more white, drag it further down. And if you want more black, just further up. I had this at 0.63. Just going to leave it there. I thought it looked good. So that's it for today. Hope you could see what I was doing and how you might change this project around. Maybe you don't want to make a barcode, but I still think it's a fairly useful technique to know how to make different widths or lengths of, gray or black or whatever color areas, just combine them together. So thanks a lot for watching, and take care.